Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Course Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I'm going to be taking you through the top 10 counterspells in Commander as determined by, well, Scryfall. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but they've got an Oracle tag search now, which is incredible because you're like, okay, Oracle tag, colon, and then, yeah, you can write in, like, Counterspell, or like Board Wipe, or like Ramp, and it will pull up cards that have been marked as that, which is incredible, and I absolutely love Scryfall. If you haven't used it, make sure you check it out. But on this episode, of course, yeah, I utilized that for the counterspells and then sorted by each rec rank. And there you go, the top 10 counterspells. And there's actually some surprising pieces in here, and I absolutely love it. So, with all that said, let's jump into it with number 10. And starting off at 10th place, we've got Force of Negation. This card is $30, according to Moxfield, and yeah, I believe it. It is a very expensive card, a very good card. Instant for 1 blue. If it's not your turn, you can exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay a spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. So, hey, you can cast this counter spell for free. Now, it can only counter non-creature spells, but the vast majority of spells that you want to counter are going to be non-creature spells most of the time. That's why, you know, Negate is a lot more, you know, popular than, say, Essence Scatter. So there you go. But yeah, basically, this is 3 mana at the worst, you know, 0 mana at the best at the cost of another blue spell in your hand. And if you're in a blue deck, which of course you are utilizing this, you got plenty of ways to draw cards, plenty of ways to get a lot of cards in your hand. And yeah, you could just basically cast this for free. So even if you're tapped out, your opponent's gonna be like, oh, yeah, I'll cast this, and your commander's gone. And you're like, no. Force of Negation. Ah! And the card that they cast is exiled forever. So a great card, a very expensive one, and one that probably needs to see some reprints. It gets priced out even further. Regardless, now let's move on to number 9. And coming at 9th place, we've got another great counterspell, one that is in Azorius colors though, with Dobins Vito. It's a very simple spell. Instant for white-blue. This spell can't be countered. Counter target non-creature spell. Remember what I said earlier about countering non-creature spells and how that's probably the most important thing in Commander, typically, most of the time? Yes? Well, here you go. Now you can do so, and basically, not all the time, but basically be ensured that you will have that spell countered, because, hey, this cannot be countered. You cannot counter this. Now, there are certain ways to, you know, maybe bounce this back to your hand or whatnot, which would then stop it from happening. But still, the vast majority of the time, this is an uncounterable counterspell that is going to do its job. It's basically, again, the same price as an aforementioned card that I said earlier. But yeah, I mean, slightly more mana fixing with it, you know, being white-blue. But yeah, very cheap, very low to the ground, great at doing what it needs to do. Moving on, speak of great at doing what it needs to do, and what it needs to do is something very important. An offer you can't refuse comes in at number 8. Oh my goodness. This card just came out last year in New Capenna, and it is already the 8th most popular counterspell of all time. Absurd. $2.36. It also was budget at one point, like for like half a second. I mean, budget within my budget. You know what I mean? Less than $1. Now it's more than $1, unfortunately. Wizards, please reprint it. Instant for a blue counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. What did I say earlier about countering a non-creature spell? Very, very important in Commander. Most of the time, that's what you want to counter. And yeah, they might cast something absolutely massive. They're like, here's my giant extra turn spell. Yeah, expropriate. And you're like, 1 mana? No. So there you go. You're like, nope, there you go, 1 mana. There you go. Take your 2 treasures. Take them. Yeah, instead of getting your giant spell. So yeah, this is a great way to counter massive spells for very cheap. Again, just having 1 mana open, your opponent might not think you have anything that can stop them. Now they're going to have to be very wary because you do have something that can stop them. Wizards, please reprint it. It's a great card. Next up, moving on to number 7. An oldie, but a goodie. Here we go. Force of Will. $66, I believe, is the most budget-friendly version. I think that's how I've got Moxfield set up right now, where it's going to be showing the lowest cost version. So there you go. $66 apparently, the lowest cost version of this card. Instant for 3 blue. You may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Counter target spell. Yeah, the OG Force of Negation. Essentially, this can counter anything. It does not have to be a non-creature spell. And yeah, just the cost of 1 life and 1 blue card in your hand, gone. There you go. Counter absolutely anything. Or, pay 5 mana if you need to counter something. But yeah, more likely you're just going to be like, nope, I'm tapped out. Oh no, woe is me. What will I do? And then all of a sudden you're like, counter? So yeah, a great card. Speaking of great cards, I mean, arguably, definitely arguably better than another counterspell we'll talk about here in a bit. A lot of counterspells. Here we go. Number 6, Mana Drain. Oh my goodness. This card, well, it's $38. If it wasn't $38, it would probably be at the top spot. Be up there. Counter target spell, instant for blue. That sound familiar? Maybe we'll get to something here in a bit. Regardless, at the beginning of your next main phase, add an amount of colors equal to that spell's converted mana cost. Hey, you want to counter any spell for just 2 mana? What's the downside? No downside. There's actually just an upside for you. You get essentially, whatever that spell's mana value is in mana. Next upkeep, have fun. Or next main phase, what I mean, so you can use it. Anyways, yeah, use your opponent's spells to fuel your own. This card is kind of overpowered, just a little bit. So yeah, that's the reason why it's so expensive and why it is the 6th most popular counterspell in Commander. Next up, here we go. This one I knew had to be on the list. I mean, a lot of these are going to be on the list, but this one, number 5, Fierce Guardianship. Here we go. Instant for 2 and a blue. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell at paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. Like I've said many times before on this episode, countering non-creature spells is what it's all about in Commander, right? Countering a bunch of non-creature spells, yeah, it's very good. And being able to do so for free, yeah, it's great as well. Oh, wait, there's no, you don't have to like exile a card from here or anything like that? No, this is just straight up just free. Just free to counter non-creature spell. Oh, you have to have your commander in play in a format called Commander, where you're usually playing around your commander. Yeah, you're probably going to meet that requirement and be able to cast this for free the vast majority of the time. If not, it's 3 mana. It's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, most of the time, you're casting this for free out of nowhere again. An absurd card. And there's a reason why it's $59. Goodness gracious. Here we go. Moving on. Next up, though, a card that is much more budget-friendly. Not quite budget-friendly enough for me, though, unfortunately. At number 4, we've got Swansong. Very flavorful card. Very fantastic card. Counter target, enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell. This controller puts a 2/2 bluebird creature with flying on the battlefield. So this can counter a lot of things that are not creatures. It's not non-creature, like the other spells we talked about so far. Other things you get through, like, a planeswalker or an artifact. Or now battle cards. Go check out my episode on battle cards if you haven't seen that one yet. Regardless, trading away, essentially countering a massive thing, maybe like an Omniscience for a 2/2 flying bird. Yeah, it's going to be worth it the vast majority of the time. So yeah, this is a great card in a lot of situations, and you're going to make that deal an offer you can't refuse most of the time as well, right? Essentially. Next up, though, at number 3, we've got a great card, one that, unfortunately, its cheapest version is a very old printing of it, so it might be, not the best text to read, but here we go. It's an interrupt. It's an instant. For 1 and a blue, it's Arcane Denial. Counter target spell. That spell's caster may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Basically, that spell's caster. That's kind of funny. That player draws 2. You draw 1. Again, counter any spell, though, for just 2 mana. Again, not perfect mana fixing needed. Kind of like, another spell we'll talk about here in a bit. You just need 1 blue and anything else. You can counter any spell. Great. Speaking of 2 mana, though, in countering basically any spell you need to. Okay, not any spell you need to. But again, like I've mentioned, like I've hammered home, the more important spell is counter non-creature. Negate. Negate is number 2 right now. And this is a budget-friendly card. Thank goodness. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why, of course, this is one of the most popular cards out there when it comes to countering spells, because it also is budget-friendly. It's 9 cents. It's been reprinted an absurd amount of times. Instant for 1 and blue. Counter target non-creature spell. Simple, effective, awesome. Yes, I am very happy that this one is budget friendly, so I can even utilize it. It is a great card in Commander. I'm happy to see it up near the top spot. Speaking of the top spot, though, that is reserved for the one and the only at number 1, of course, Counterspell, which, with its most recent reprinting in Dominator Remastered, is finally budget friendly. I think since the time my channel started, there've been 2 other miscellaneous times where it just crept underneath $1 barely. With this most reprinting in Dominator Remastered, whatever it is, it dropped it underneath $1. 59 cents currently. The OG Counterspell. Hey, instant for blue, counter target spell. Again, mana drain, just better, much more expensive, but better. But Counterspell, it's hard to argue that Counterspell is just an incredible counterspell. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, again, finally budget friendly for me as well. Now, there are a lot of other great counterspells out there that did not make the top 10. Let me know in the comments below, which ones do you think should be in the top 10 that are not? What's your favorite counterspell out there? So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.